They're back in Dallas. The NFC's leading rusher is here. And their quarterback embodies their spirit.
I think we carry kind of a quiet confidence, which is very good in my opinion. But also we go out and work hard every day in practice, and we don't feel that we're a good enough football team that we can just show up and beat people.
In Tom Landry's shadow, no longer the new Cowboy coach has infused his team with success, and with it an image.
I think it helps your football team if you can not only play with a lot of confidence, but have a little bit of a swagger about you.
There will be no shortage of swagger tonight as Deion Sanders of the Falcons will strut his stuff in prime time. The Cowboys look to clinch the NFC East as they play the Atlanta Falcons on ABC's Monday Night Football.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Are you ready for the Cowboys and the Falcons as they go toe to toe? We're gonna make you smile and get rid of your blues and do the Monday Night Football boogie for you. I bet you're ready for some football. Frank, Al, and Dan are coming your way. It's Monday Night Football and it's time to play.
The skyline of Atlanta, Georgia, which will become a very familiar sight as the 96 Summer Levy Games approach. And the Georgia Dome, a key venue for those games, and the home of the Atlanta Falcons is sold out. It will be rocking tonight. The Dallas Cowboys are in town. Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford along with Al Michaels and Dan Dierdorf as we close out the 15th week of NFL play. We're delighted you are with us, the Falcons and the Cowboys. For the Falcons, it's a show-up game. They'll play for pride and perhaps next year, but for Dallas, just the opposite. They can do what they couldn't do last week against Washington. They could win their first Eastern Division of the NFC since 1985. That would guarantee them a week off before the playoffs begin for them, and they will have that first playoff game at home. A truly remarkable turnaround by this team, by this franchise. 1-15 in 1989. They went to 7-9. Last year, they were 11-5. And Al, if they can win tonight and beat Chicago at home next week, they could be a 13-3 team. That's a truly great story.
And Frank, the blueprint for success has been quite simple. Jerry Jones bought the team in '89, hired his longtime friend Jimmy Johnson, and no one comes between them. No general manager, no chief financial officer, no muckety-muck emeritus. It's Jerry and Jimmy, and they make all of the decisions. They have drafted brilliantly, they have traded brilliantly, they have deployed personnel brilliantly. Right now, they're among the elite teams in the league, and they're young, so they could be up there for a long time to come. But because they're young, tonight's game is important. Last week, an agonizing loss. They had the Redskins in the coffin and let them get up, and Washington won the game. And tonight, Dan, they face a team in Atlanta that has really nothing to gain and nothing to lose, and a team like that can be very dangerous.
You only win a half a dozen games. It's muckety-muck as well, Al, here in Atlanta, because it has been such a difficult season. They've been racked with injuries. They lose their number one quarterback in Chris Miller. But things are looking up for the Atlanta Falcons. Last week, Wade Wilson, making his first start for this franchise, throws 5 touchdown passes against Tampa Bay. Defensively, they've only given up 1 offensive touchdown in the last 14 quarters. So that's good defensive play. And, of course, anytime Deion Sanders is on the field, he has the possibilities of taking any one of the kickoffs back for a touchdown. And every time Troy Aikman puts the ball in the air, he knows that Deion is roaming back there, and he can make all 11 guys miss. Win or lose, the Falcons are always fun to watch.
And the Falcons will put the ball in the air, so we'll wait to see Sanders as Norm Johnson will kick off. Clayton Holmes and Kelvin Martin are back for the Dallas Cowboys. At the 6-yard line, Kelvin Martin, one of the top return specialists in the league, but he runs smack into a black shirt. Number 38 for the Atlanta Falcons, Keith Jones. And Jones pays the price as he comes up, cradling his left wrist. For the Dallas Cowboys, Troy Aikman really coming into his own. 4th season, number 1 pick in the entire league in '89 out of UCLA. Smith and Johnston, the running backs. Johnston, the blocker. Irvin and Harper, great wideouts. Novacek, a terrific tight end. Tuane, Newton, Stepnoski, Giesick, and Eric Williams. Big Eric Williams up front. Outstanding offensive line. Emmitt Smith, flag down. And Smith, for the moment, gets a first down. It's a gain of 14 out to the 32-yard line, but let's see about the flag, which was thrown at the 19-yard line. The referee tonight is Larry Nemmers, and that one's going to come back.
Illegal motion, number 80, 5 yards, repeat, first down.
That's Alvin Harper whistled for the penalty. Falcons play a base 3-4. Gardner, Epps, and Barnett are up front. Good quartet of linebackers. Tippin, Solomon is a former Cowboy. Tuggle makes a lot of tackles, and Connor on the outside. McKyer, the longtime 49er, and Dolphin with Sanders. Donaldson and Case are the safeties. On 1st and 15, Aikman's first pass of the night finds the secondary doing its job, and then he just throws it away. Alvin Harper coming back toward the line of scrimmage. The pass is incomplete. It'll be 2nd and 15.
And credit Deion Sanders with the first big play for the Falcons tonight. He was man-for-man coverage on Michael Irving, the gifted receiver of the Dallas Cowboys. He was on him like glue. You saw Aikman look over to him. Nothing happening. He could do nothing with it, and he had to run out of the pocket.
2nd and 15 for the Dallas Cowboys. 11-3 on the year. Here tonight and then home to close out the regular season next Sunday against Chicago. That's Irvin in motion. And on a delay, it's Emmitt Smith through the middle where he gets most of his yardage. They run him between the tackles a lot. Jesse Solomon makes the hit after a gain of close to 5. It'll be 3rd and 10.
Now, we didn't have a chance to discuss the many injuries of this defensive unit for the Atlanta Falcons, but they have people playing in all kinds of different positions tonight. There is Smith being taken there by Jesse Solomon and Jesse Tuggle, but they have lost 3 key defensive linemen over the course of the season. They are small up front, they are inexperienced, and Dallas certainly should be able to exploit them on the ground.
3rd and 10, 3 wideouts in this Dallas set. And Aikman steps up, and the catch is made by Novacek. There's a flag down at the line of scrimmage. Novacek is close to what would be a first down, but a marker back at the 18-yard line. And again, it's against Dallas.
Boy, their 2nd motion penalty of this opening series. Remember the one to Alvin Harper on the first play of the game, and now this one brings back what appears to be a first down catch by Novacek.
Jerry Glanville in his 3rd year as the Falcons head coach.
Motion,
in his 4th.
number 79, moving before the snap, 5 yards, repeat, 3rd down.
I always thought that moving before the snap was a false start. In this particular instance, the officials are choosing to call it motion. Right there, the guy closest to us, that's Eric Williams, the right tackle. And he starts out of there early, but that's a false start, not motion. When you simulate the start of a play before the snap of the ball, the penalty is the same. It's a 5-yard penalty.
And it makes it 3rd and 15 on the game's opening drive. Cowboys at their own 13. Falcons show blitz, and here they come, and it's a run. And it's Emmitt Smith who gets out to the 19-yard line, considerably short of the first down. Darian Connor gets credit for the tackle, and the Dallas Cowboys will be forced to punt.
Connor having a good year for Atlanta. He has 7 sacks, 6 of them in the last 7 games. But Atlanta going with 3 down linemen and 6 DBs in their nickel defense.
Well, Dallas, Frank, is making it tough on themselves. They're not only playing Atlanta, but they're playing themselves with 2 penalties on the opening drive. That is exactly the wrong way that a coach like Jimmy Johnson wants to see his club start when they are favored.
Mike Saxon to kick. Tony Smith back to get it. Good punt. Great punt. 56 yards. Taken at the 24-yard line. And Smith returns it 6 to the 30. The tackle is made by Mickey Pruitt. So let's take a look now at the Falcons. And again, as you look at Wade Wilson, keep in mind that Chris Miller went to the Pro Bowl for them as their quarterback last year. Hurt in midseason. They went with Billy Joe Tolliver, and now the longtime Viking Wilson coming off a 5-touchdown performance. They start with Steve Broussard in the backfield with the 4 wideouts. Risen, Hill, Pritchard, and Haynes, and from time to time, Deion Sanders. Then you've got Ken, Hoover, Dukes, Freilich, and Hinton, a very experienced but banged up offensive line. 1st and 10, Atlanta at the 31. Wilson right to the air. Over the middle. 1st down, Pritchard. He loses the football, and they say it is a live ball, which means it is a Dallas ball. Ken Norton dislodged it, and Thomas Everett picked it up.
Well, from up here, it certainly looked like he took a couple of steps with the ball, which establishes possession. I think Atlanta might have been arguing that he was down when the ball came out.
Well, there's no question they're arguing that.
I think, first of all, it's beyond question that it was a completed pass. I think where Atlanta's questioning it, let's watch it right from left to right. There's the catch. He has possession. Oh, and the ball comes out when he is on the ground. That play should have been dead right there. At least from that angle,
The ruling on the field is that the runner never hit the ground and the ball popped loose. 1st down.
Well, the call goes against the Falcons. From that angle, it certainly looks like Atlanta was the recipient of a bad break.
From the official's point of view, at full speed, it looked as though he landed on Ken Norton, and that was the ruling that they made.
Yep.
And they're not going to change it. And again, defensively for Dallas, 6 defensive backs, and it paid off for him there. He obviously hit the ground before.
We've got an official off the field who appears to be down. Let's look at his right knee here and see if it goes down.
Oh, there's no question it's down.
Yeah, see right there, the play is over, but obviously we're watching it in a freeze frame slow-mo. You can see when he came down on top of the defender, that's what the officials rule. That's what he's ruling.
Let me ask you a question. A guy comes down on another guy. Don't you interpret it as the defensive player being part of the ground?
The play is over at that point in time.
Well, hey, Dallas, they're used to this sort of stuff at the 35-yard line, except this one works in their favor. And this is Darian Connor making sure that Emmitt Smith has no place to run. Darian Connor, 3rd-year man out of Jackson State, the school that produced Walter Payton.
They use him in a lot of ways. They use him as a down lineman. And what they are doing, the Atlanta Falcons, with all the injuries, particularly that defensive line, they're getting their best athletes on the field in the best positions that they can get them. They are a striking team, a blitzing team, a gambling team. Everybody knows that. But they are a team of fine athletes.
2nd and 12, Dallas at the 37. 3.5 minutes into the game, 0-0. Aikman facing a 4-man rush and swings one to Smith, who escapes 2 Falcons and then gets tackled by a trio, including Solomon and Scott Case and company. Emmitt Smith is a guy who, of course, not only carries the ball so much, but as you can see in his last 4 games prior to this one, 29 receptions, over 7 per game, and nobody in the league over the last 4 games has caught more.
And why not throw it to him? Look who he makes miss. He makes Tippins miss. He makes Tuggle miss. I mean, right here, Emmitt Smith is dead in the water. Well, there's one miss. Here comes another one right there, and he turns it into positive yardage. I'd make the guy a bigger part of my passing game as well. Like, I wouldn't be upset if he handled the ball on every play.
3rd and 11. The crowd, of course, is still booing what they felt was a bad call. Flags all over the joint.
Williams
and
started.
There's no play. No play at all. The play whistle dead.
Eric Williams, the right tackle, started out of there again.
It's twice now for Eric Williams.
This is the
Full start prior to the snap. Number 79 offense. 5 yards. Still 3rd down.
Well, that moved them out of any possible thought of field goal. They would have been looking at something like a 55-yarder to begin with, and probably a little long for Lynn Elliott.
As we saw before, Eric Williams is the closest player to the camera. There he goes backwards. I mean, that is, again, this is a new stadium. Dallas has never played in this building before. It is a dome, and it is very noisy.
3rd and 16 at the 41. Only a 3-man rush. And it's dumped over the middle. This is Kelvin Martin, who takes the ball to the 29-yard line, short of the 1st down. And so we're looking at about a 48-yard field goal attempt. Bruce Pickens was in on the tackle. Lynn Elliott is a rookie kicker who got off to a terrible start and was probably a kick or 2 away from being cut. and then he reeled off 13 in a row.
2 of those were from 53 yards too, Al, so he's well within range. Back-to-back 53-yarders he kicked.
Steve Berline will hold. It'll be an official 47-yard attempt. And Lynn Elliott bangs it through. So after the questionable call on the fumble, Dallas takes over. Can't move, but they're close enough for 3. And with 9:31 remaining in the opening quarter, the Cowboys take the early lead. Well, Deion Sanders, who is a second in the league, 28.4 is the average of his kickoff returns. The league average annually is around 20 yards per return. He's back, and Lynn Elliott, a guy who has trouble guiding his kickoffs, according to Jimmy Johnson. So if you're wondering if he'll try to boot away from him, well, as Jimmy said last night, he's just going to try to send it deep and send it deep enough into the end zone that he can't run it back. But this one will be run back by Neon Deion from the 4. And he brings it back out to the 27-yard line. 23-yard return. And Atlanta will start from that spot. You know, I posed the question before about a player, the defensive player, being on the ground and the offensive player on top of him. He is not really part of the ground. In checking with Jerry Seaman, the director of officials for the National Football League, the player can roll off. So that ball was still alive unless his knee had already touched. If his knee had touched on that prior play, which was inconclusive to us.
Oh, really? No,
well,
the knee touched, Al. The knee was down. I mean, so quickly. I mean, you can see what the official saw. With the benefit of slow motion, we could see that the knee was down.
Here's Broussard. Let's take another look at the play. If the knee is down, that's the key.
Right. Watch the right knee. The right knee will touch the ground.
This is the fumble again.
So you can
Pritchard.
sit at home. Right there, the knee is down. See, the play is over right there. So if you're saying if instant replay would have been in effect, would it have overturned the play? Yes, I think that was conclusive evidence that the knee was down. Now, we couldn't see the football.
Right.
I mean, that's what's the wild card in that scenario.
Exactly. If the official had ruled otherwise, it would have been because the football was out of view, and thereby did he have possession would have been a question. 2nd and 7 at the 30-yard line from the shotgun. This is Drew Hill making the catch, and Drew Hill in his 13th year has enough for the first. Let's take a look at the Cowboys. It'll be a basic 4-1-6 tonight. Tolbert, Casillas, Maryland, and Haley up front. Norton will be the sole linebacker, and because the Falcons invariably line up with the 4 wideouts, 6 DBs. Smith, the rookie, with Brown, Gant, Woodson, another rookie, and Everett and Washington. It's so unusual that the Cowboys have a middle linebacker, a rookie by the name of Robert Jones, having a good year, and they don't need him tonight. So he's inactive. He's in street clothes.
Well, you know, they play Norton in there because he's good against the pass. Norton is not good. Well, it's certainly not as good as Robert Jones is against the run. Norton is a good football player, but he is not a real run defensive player. He is in there also to help out against the pass, and there he is, #1 draft pick out of East Carolina, having a superb rookie season, but you don't need him against the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, he's the same place that every other middle linebacker and every other team in the league is when they play Atlanta. There's Chris Miller, Atlanta's injured quarterback, the Pro Bowl player, and he will be back next year. He's progressing nicely, but without Chris Miller, this offense suffers. I know Wade Wilson provided a big spark last year, but Chris Miller is the engine that drives this offensive machine here in Atlanta.
Yeah, the 5 TDs last week, but Wade Wilson also was a former Pro Bowl quarterback up at Minnesota in 1988.
1st and 10 at the 37-yard line. Wilson throws complete. That's Michael Haynes making his first catch of the night. Up at the 42-yard line, it'll be 2nd down and 6, and we can tell you that ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Miller Lite, it's everything you want a beer to be. By the new Bic Twin Select for normal and sensitive skin. There's a Bic for every beard. And by the makers of Advil in tablets or caplets. 2nd down and 6. Wade Wilson has started the game 3 for 3. Unusual formation there with Hill lining up as a tailback, but that doesn't fool anybody. In particular, Tony Casillas is right there to take care of Steve Broussard. And Casillas coming back to Atlanta, where he had a falling out, you might say, with Jerry Glanville and the folks.
It was definitely a clash of personalities, and when Casillas ended up in Dallas, he had a great many negative things to say about Glanville, and I think you could see the emotion that Tony Casillas brought to this game tonight. And hey, there have been lots of personality clashes before. Jerry Glanville's not the only coach that's had a problem with a player, and vice versa. But they had one. They had a good one.
He's out. Leon Lett comes in. It's 3rd and 6 at the 41-yard line. And Wilson's throw is a beauty, caught by Haynes, who takes it all the way to the 10. He found the open spot between Horton and Holt, and as was the case twice last week against Tampa, he finds him right down the hash mark.
Well, how many things in football expected help from the inside quicker than he got it, and he didn't get it. And great speed on the part of Haynes. Remember the big numbers he put up a year ago, what, 11 receptions over 40 yards. He has great speed, no deception to it whatsoever. Kevin Smith thought he was going to get help from the inside a lot quicker than he did, and he just about broke it for 6.
47-yard gain, 1st and 10 at the 12. Dallas ahead 3-0. And Wilson hitting Pritchard, who takes it to the 6-yard line. He is stopped there by James Washington, and it'll be 2nd down and 4 with under 6 minutes to go in the opening quarter, and the Cowboys up 3-0. Chris Miller. Miller's injury, one of those AstroTurf freaks, nobody even close to him, tried to cut on the turf, and that was that. Against the Rams.
Simple scramble against the Rams, planted his foot, blew it out.
Second and 4 at the 6-yard line. 3 of the 4 wideouts sent to the left. And Wilson bangs it into the back of the end zone to Drew Hill. Touchdown.
A good read, another good read by Wade Wilson. The Cowboys rolling to their left. Drew Hill took it right to the back of the end zone, got lost back there, and was wide open. Watch number 85, Drew Hill. Takes it straight back. Hangs right inside the baseline. Nobody saw him, wide open.
That's some sort of a blow by the Cowboys secondary.
Had to be.
Yeah. Drew Hill totally unaccounted for by the Cowboys. You can see Washington, number 37, got in there in a chase position, but far too late.
Johnson's extra point is good. You've heard the phrase, in a perfect world. Well, Wade's world is a perfect world.
Hey, I got 2 words for Santa Claus. Deion Santa Claus, okay? Sit down, Santa. Such a big backside down the Yuletide bench, because this year I'm dreaming of a Santa Claus Christmas where a slim, trim guy in a designer suit scales the highest chimneys, dashes through the deepest snow, and squat thrusts the heaviest presents. You think a Jelly Belly from some elf-infested igloo is going to get the goods there on time? Run! Hey, this year there's no crying and no pouting. Why? Because Deion Santa Claus is coming to town.
Ho, ho, ho.
Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus.
And last year he hit over 300.
Candlestick's gonna rock. Detroit will try to make San Francisco quake. It's the season finale, for goodness sake.
5:21 remaining in the first quarter at the Georgia Dome in downtown Atlanta. Capacity crowd looking on. Their Falcons lead 7-3. And Norm Johnson, the longtime Seattle Seahawk, who's been having an excellent year, sends this one down to the 2-yard line. And this is Kelvin Martin. Stopped at the 19, a 17-yard run back. Ken Tippins is there for the tackle, and that's where Aikman and his unit go to work. 5:11 left first quarter. 7-3 VP Young and the 49ers hosting the Detroit Lions and Barry Sanders. Also, Joe Montana. Will he play next Monday? Will he be activated at halftime tonight? We will talk live with 49er coach George Seifert. Also a feature on Jimmy Johnson at the half from the 20-yard line. Aikman throws underneath. This is Novacek, who leads the league in catches for tight ends. Jesse Solomon makes the hit, and that's Novacek's 61st catch of the season. Falcons, meanwhile, go 73 yards in 7 plays, and Wilson on that drive, a perfect 5 for 5.
Novacek, such a key part of this Dallas offense. Last year, 59 receptions. The year before that, 59. Not all that big. He doesn't give you a whole lot of blocking support, but you can use him just like a wide receiver. You can't cover him with a linebacker and live with it.
On 2nd and 3, Emmitt Smith picks up the first down, and the ball comes loose, but after the play is whistled dead at the 33-yard line. Tippins and Donaldson converge on the tackle. Now, we talk about a league MVP. Steve Young could be the league MVP. Thurman Thomas every year could be. What about a guy like Emmitt Smith? When you talk about value to a team, is there any man more valuable to his team than number 22 in white?
Well, when you look at what percentage of their offensive running attack, and you can see that fumble, that ball comes out before Emmitt Smith hits the ground, but he covered it up.
Donaldson is the guy who helped to strip it, and the catch is made by Irvin in Atlanta territory, and he's wrestled down at the Falcon 45 by Sanders and Case.
You go back on what you're talking about with Emmitt Smith, Al. I mean, I think this year they have improved their running attack to some degree. Curvin Richards has 149 yards, and Darrell Johnston has 61. But that guy is everything else. There's a good look at it. Last year, he was 91% of their rushing yardage. This year, it's a little over 80. But it's the durability that he brings to the table. His sure-handedness is now blossoming as a receiver. It's just that he's kind of overshadowed in a sense because of Aikman and Irvin. There's so much other offensive talent here.
After a 23-yard pickup on the reception, there is Smith getting close to 10. Call it 9.5 and make it 2nd and short at the Atlanta 36-yard line.
He can make a secondary, a good tackling member of the secondary look so silly out there. That time Scott Case had him lined up. Scott Case, a former Pro Bowl safety man, and he just ducked. Scott Case went right over the top of it.
You know, it sounds strange to use a word like overshadowed with Emmitt Smith, but he's so quiet. He's almost behind the scenes as far as outspokenness, especially on a team with guys like Irvin.
There he is again. He cuts it back as he does so brilliantly and so often, and picks up the first down, a gain of 5 to the 31. Stopped by Tuggle with 2:28 remaining in the opening quarter. 7-3 Atlanta.
The thing about Smith, he gets better as the game progresses, like a lot of great running backs. You've heard it's almost cliche now, but you go back to Emmitt Smith in high school in Florida. He gained over 8,800 yards rushing. Then off to Florida, where he gained almost 4,000 yards rushing. This is a guy that's carried the football hundreds and hundreds of times, and he always shows up. A lot of durability.
At the 31, here he goes again. To the 28. He's so important that even though Jimmy Johnson would downplay it, clearly Johnson's worst nightmare would be an injury to Emmitt Smith going into postseason. Even though Curvin Richards, as Jimmy said, is a pretty good running back, and there's the guy who would fill the load. And I asked Johnson last night, would you have to change the offense a lot? He, for the moment, said, no, I wouldn't.
No, but he sweated a lot when he said it, Al. He said, no, it would be a problem. Curvin Richards would step right in there. I think what he feels is that his offensive line has come along so well this year. This is the same offensive line for Stepnowski at center, and that makes him better, Dan, than we saw at the very beginning of the season. They've been together all year.
After this play, I got a scenario for you. See what you think.
2nd and 7 at the 28. 1:15 to go in the quarter. Good protection for Aikman, who unloads, and it's caught at the 14 by Alvin Harper. A first down. He's tackled by Tim McKyer, a 14-yard gain.
You talk about Emmitt Smith and his importance to this team. Let me pose a hypothetical question to you. Is it a better team with Troy Aikman at quarterback and Curvin Richards running the ball? Or is it a better team with Steve Berline at quarterback and Emmitt Smith running the football? You know, and when you talk about who's more valuable to the team, Aikman or Emmitt Smith, it's an interesting question. You know, it's always the automatic answer is the quarterback is your most valuable guy. I'm not 100% sure that's the case here in Dallas.
Berline won 5 games last year, including a playoff.
Guy's awful good. There's a lot of, for being so young, there's remarkable depth in Dallas.
Here is Smith. Nowhere to roam, and he's tackled by a gaggle of black shirts. Oliver Barnett and Jesse Solomon leading the charge, and that figures to be the final play of the first quarter. And thus the second period will commence at the 15-yard line of the Atlanta Falcons. End of the the first quarter. The score is Atlanta 7, Dallas 3. And we'll return with Monday Night Football after this message and word from our ABC stations. In Atlanta, Monday Night Football, Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf. Atlanta leading 7-3 at a second and 11 for the Cowboys at the Atlanta 15-yard line. And Aikman retreats. Good protection. Underneath, he throws to the 12-yard line. It's a very short gain. It's into the arms of Irvin. And Tippins makes the tackle. That's one of the few catches Irvin has made this season that's not resulted in a first down as we look at the numbers through the first 15 minutes of play, and they're dead even in yardage at 87.
Dallas has had the ball most of this quarter if you look all the way down to the bottom, but the one turnover belongs to the Atlanta Falcons on their very first offensive play of the game, and that resulted in a Dallas field goal. So, and the only Dallas points so far in this ball game, but they appear to be about to change that.
Third down and 7 at the 11-yard line. Aikman throws. Nice catch is made by Martin, and it's a touchdown, dragging Pickens into the end zone.
Oh, and he gets a block by Michael Irvin right on the goal line that allows him to get in as well. This is a Dallas Cowboy team that really does play a team concept. Their receivers block for each other downfield. They block for their tight end, and a well-executed pass play results in a Dallas touchdown.
Martin comes all the way from the left side, and no way that Pickens is going to stay with him. There's the block that Dan alluded to. Michael Irvin is more than just a receiving wide receiver.
He screened off Deion Sanders to allow the touchdown by Kelvin Martin.
This is Lynn Elliott out of Berline's hole to put Dallas up by 3. Aikman on the drive was a perfect 5 for 5. Martin scores his 3rd touchdown of the season. Dallas reassumes the lead, and now it's time for our regular feature on what's new in the world of sports science and technology. Deion Sanders has played in only 57 games in his NFL career. He has 8 touchdowns on various returns, kickoffs, punts, interceptions, and he stands here at the 3-yard line ready to accept Elliott's kick with 14:07 to go in the half, and the Cowboys on top 10-7. Dallas trying to clinch it in the NFC East. It's an angled kick. Sanders will take it about 2 yards in. And they press him to the near side of the field. He couldn't get to the other side of the field as the Cowboys did a pretty good job of walling off the route to the right, and they sent him right to the sideline, and he's run out of bounds by Clayton Holmes.
A perfect kickoff, boxing a dangerous return man into the corner. He has nowhere to go.
Blue-Gray Classic, noon Eastern time on Christmas Day, coming your way right here on ABC Sports, and we'll also have the Jeep Eagle Aloha Bowl to follow. BYU against Kansas.
I hope you're all home on Christmas Day.
Yeah. There's Deion Sanders in the game on offense for the first time, and that doesn't fool Russell Maryland. So they run Sanders. They've been using him as a wideout or in the slot. Take your pick from time to time this season, including a touchdown reception last week, but this time they run him, and it doesn't fool anybody.
And Russell can tell everybody, I made an open field tackle on Deion Sanders and didn't have any help. Maryland is just penetrating upfield, and on the first rush of his NFL career, Neon Deion goes nowhere. Number 1 meets number 1.
So Deion's career rushing average, that's his first rush ever, is -4.
Miami against Florida State.
2nd and 14. Wade Wilson, who's a perfect 6 for 6, is now 6 for 7 because Pritchard can't hold on.
Well, you hate to waste standing that long in the pocket and come up with an incompletion. Tremendous offensive line play by the Falcons. 4 men came from the Cowboys front line and didn't even get close to Wade Wilson. Even he just stands and stands and stands. When it looked, oh, there it is right there. It was hit right at the end. Looked to me like Darren Woodson got a hand on the ball. Good play, Woodson.
Woodson getting a lot more time in that secondary. Former linebacker from Arizona State.
3rd and 14. 3-man rush. Line does its job. The pass is underneath. It's complete, but for minimal yardage, Drew Hill makes the tackle, and that'll create a punt.
And Darren Woodson makes the tackle once again.
ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Jeep and Eagle, a division of the Chrysler Corporation.
And a good look there at the great Mike Ken walking off the field. 15 years. He's played left tackle for the Atlanta Falcons and plans on coming back for number 16. One of the fine offensive tackles of the last couple of decades.
Fulhaig to kick. Scott Fulhaig. Kelvin Martin to receive it. Line drive kick. Good distance. And the run back by Martin, flagged down to the 42-yard line. A 48-yard punt. He ran it back 9 and a marker down. Martin, the man who scored the touchdown. And it's the old block in the back. This is a recording.
Illegal block in the back on the return team, number 47. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down.
Clayton Holmes. You know, they ought to think about redefining that rule. You see that happen so often.
What are you going to do? Let them block people in the back?
Yeah, sure. Open it up.
Easy for you to say.
Open it up. Timeout. Dallas Cowboys. Defensive unit, secondary. Going over their performance on the far side as the offense takes over at the 29-yard line. 12:10 to go in the half. Dallas up by 3. Aikman on an out to Irvin, and he is pushed out of bounds by Deion Sanders in frustration. It's a 14-yard gain. We mentioned before, almost every time Michael Irvin catches a pass, it's good for a first down. Coming into the game, he'd caught 67 this season, and 64 of them had been for first downs.
Well, again, Sanders, when you're that good, you're going to get a lot of man-for-man assignments. You're going to draw the tough receivers, and he was out there on an island all alone. And that time, Irving was the winner of that one. Irvin just driving him downfield, breaking it back.
Here's Smith. And he turns nothing into something up to the 46. You know, Emmitt Smith was the league's leading rusher last year. He's in the battle again this year with Barry Foster. However, there is a caveat here, because if you are the NFL rushing leader, if you push that stone to the top, no rushing leader has ever advanced to the Super Bowl.
And neither is his team.
Right.
Yeah. It's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine, though, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
everybody says you have to run the ball to win in this league, and yet the guy who runs it the best never makes it to never wins the big show.
2nd down and 7. Aikman to the 50-yard line. That's Irvin making the catch. And they stop him short of the first down. So it's funny. Every time you bring something up about a guy doing something so often, catching balls and almost always getting a first down, he catches a couple in one game that don't result in it. Tuggle makes the hit.
Well, a lot of Michael Irvin's receptions are shorter passes like that because they're so much in love with the way he runs with it after he makes the catch. I mean, here's a guy.
He's a good runner, too, and he's also big.
He comes into the game with an 18.8 yard per reception average, and there currently is 18.4, but a lot of those are 7, 8, 9 yard passes that he tacks on a 10-yard run afterwards.
3rd and a long 3 at the 49-yard line. And there's your long 3 and then some to Novacek. He takes it to the 41-yard line. That's a gain of 9. Gardner makes the tackle, and with 10 minutes to go in the half, first down Dallas, and they lead 10-7.
You're never going to cover Novacek with a defensive end dropping off the line of scrimmage. Novacek just picked up the 4 or 5 yards he knew was good enough for a first down. Aikman dropped back, didn't even look for another receiver, and popped him. But again, Atlanta being forced to play their remaining athletes because they have so many that are damaged, particularly defensively, in out of position areas.
Gardner and
Eric Williams. That's a trifecta. That's his 3rd penalty of the game.
Full start. 79 offense. Prior to the snap, 5 yards, still first down.
Well, earlier this season, they gave him an honor they almost never give to an offensive lineman. They named him the Offensive Player of the Week in the NFC one week. I don't think we're going to see a repeat.
Hey, the best look there was Jay Novacek jumping out of the way. Williams goes off sides. Two big guys lock up, and Novacek, he doesn't want to get his feet stepped on. He just tap dances out of the way.
They're pretty big on bookends, and Williams is 320, and over the other side, Tuanay goes about 300.
What a fine young talent Eric Williams is.
First and 15. Aikman, who has completed 10 straight, makes it 11. The catch is made by Novacek, who's inside the 20 and wrestled out of bounds at about the 12 by Scott Case.
And you can see the side judge. He almost twitched. It looked like he was thinking about throwing a flag. Case, in frustration, tosses Novacek. He just couldn't get him down.
See how quick Novacek is getting downfield, though? Just like a wide receiver. They use him in motion, bring him down. He drives Case, the free safety, good man for man defender, and he just races away from Case, looking like a wide receiver. Well-designed play, and moves it inside the 15.
Now that, by the way, you're not allowed to do. Jay Novacek, you are allowed to put out the stiff arm, but you can't put it on the opponent's face mask. I can see why Case got upset.
34-yard gain, and here is no gain for Emmitt Smith. It'll be 2nd and 10 at the 13-yard line, and we'll have another look with 8:20 to go in the half.
You can stiff arm the guy that's trying to tackle you, but you can't do it to the face, and that is why Scott Case got a little upset. That's one that Novacek got away with, and then Case got away with one at the end, so I guess it all evened out.
Might be something you're not going to do, but if you just do it casually and whip it across there and it happens to happen, you'll seldom get a flag for it.
That was Novacek's longest reception of the season. 2nd and 10 at the 13. Irvin in motion to the same side as Harper now. Aikman looking that way. Aikman goes underneath to Novacek, and Novacek takes it to the 10-yard line, and that will set up a 3rd down and 7.
Risky tackle there by Neon Dion. It's really throwing a block more than it is wrapping up and making the tackle. The risk is if he misses Novacek, Jay goes on into the end zone. He throws himself across and actually with an ankle trips Novacek. An unorthodox tackling technique, to say the least.
Had that been Irvin, he would have been in the end zone. Little hurdle and he would have been gone.
I agree.
Aikman's going to take a timeout.
Oh, and Michael Irvin yelling at Troy Aikman. I'm sure it wasn't something that Aikman had done. I think Michael Irvin saw some weakness in the Atlanta defense and was hoping they could get the playoff.
Dallas on the 3rd down. They love to look at Novacek in these situations. 23 receptions on 3rd down. Only Sterling Sharp of Green Bay with more coming into the weekend. He's already caught 4 balls tonight. It's 3rd down and 7 at the 10-yard line. Aikman, who's completed 12 straight, makes it 13, hits Irvin, but Irvin pushed back, and his forward progress, I don't believe, has a 1st down. They're going to put it at the 4, and that's going to set up a 4th and 1, and Lynn Elliott and the gang are coming in.
Well, it'll be 4th and very short, but Jimmy Johnson doesn't even hesitate. You're up 7-3. Get the field goal unit out there.
That's good up there. That's good aggressiveness, Frank, by the Falcons. They had 3 guys make the hit on Irvin all at once, and that's what kept him from getting the 1st down yardage and forces a field goal. Good hustle.
Berline will spot it at the 12. It's a 22-yard attempt for Lynn Elliott to try to put Dallas up by 6. No problem. Elliott boots it through. Aikman's completed 13 consecutive passes. 6:14 to the half. 13-7 Dallas. Tuesday night, big night on ABC as always. Tomorrow, Full House hanging with Mr. Cooper Roseanne, the Jackie Thomas Show, and going to extremes. Your Tuesday night holiday lineup here on ABC. Georgia Dome, 6:14 to go in the half. Cowboys lead at 13-7. Lynn Elliott to put it in the air. Deion Sanders waiting for it. And again, it's a beautiful kick. Taking it to 4. He pins him in the corner. And Sanders comes out to the 27. That's still a pretty good run back. But when you got Deion on the other end, you'll take a 23-yard return. Agee makes the tackle.
That's all he could do with it. That's like having a gate just swinging, the hinge being on the sideline nearest to where Deion was, and just closes on it. Good coverage by Dallas, and Deion did all he could do with it.
Dallas has had the ball almost 3 times as much as the Falcons to this point in the game.
Hard to kick that over there if you're a right-footed kicker too. Ordinarily you can kick it further and more accurately in hooking it to the left.
Look into the face mask of one Charles Haley, the ex-49er, came over at the beginning of the season to help the pass rush as Broussard finds room, and Broussard is close to a first down, but a flag comes down. Could have been a mask, face mask on James Washington.
2 flags actually came in, one from an official on the side and then one deep out of the secondary.
Well, we've got a clip.
Ooh.
Glanville said, how can we have that? Larry Nimmers is the referee.
Track back, number 35, offensive team. Will go half the distance to the goal. Repeat first down.
Pritchard.
Oh, yeah. Pritchard set out to the right, just cracked back right in full view of the official, and he didn't even complain about it.
Right, in full view of 2 officials.
It was I'm sorry.
At the 13-yard line now, so that negates what would have been the best run of the night. Wade Wilson, the longtime Viking. Wilson went to Minnesota during the offseason. He said, I would have gone home to Dallas. I thought I had a job there. They released me just before training camp. Went home for 2 days. Atlanta called, and that's how he wound up here. Half the distance meant it was a 14-yard penalty. It's 1st and 24. Wilson throws it back here to Drew Hill, and Hill is taken down by Larry Brown up at the 23-yard line.
What a wonderful receiver Drew Hill's been over the years, starting with the Rams and down to Houston. Over 580 receptions, and still going strong at 13 years in the league.
Well, he's had his best years since turning 30. He's made far more catches in the decade since he's turned 30 than when he was in his 20s. Used to play with the Rams. In fact, he was with the Rams so long ago, he played in the Super Bowl when the Rams played Pittsburgh in '79.
And his best years, of course, coming with run and shoot teams.
2nd and 15. Wilson dives ahead to the 33-yard line. Wade Wilson, a Texan, went to East Texas State, makes his home now near Dallas. Georgia Dome, of course, as you look around in its first year, and this facility will host the Super Bowl next January. This coming Super Bowl at Pasadena, and then the one following the '93 season right here.
And then, of course, will be put into use for a variety of events during the Olympics, which will be here in Atlanta in 1996. So this venue will be getting a lot of high-profile exposure over the next couple of years.
3rd down, and let's call it 5 as Wilson throws. The catch is no, made out of bounds. Pritchard was there, and the official came over and said no.
Sure was a nice catch.
Artistically, it was fine.
It sure was. He gets 9.9 on style points, but a 0.0 in that it doesn't count.
Need another pinky down. He comes down with 1 foot. There's your left. No right.
The right actually wasn't even close, but still a sensational effort by Mike Pritchard in the catch.
We talk so much about Deion Sanders being such a great return man. Kelvin Martin is just about as dangerous as you're going to find in this league today. He is so quick back there.
Well, the difference between the two is that Martin does both kickoff returns and punts.
Martin's run 2 punts back for touchdowns. Oh, that's a great kick. That's 51 yards to the 16 and a 4-yard run back by Martin to the 20.
And Martin boxed in, just like Sanders has been on the kickoff. You put him down there and you just swing the gate of the coverage closed on him.
Well, Fulhake says, I'm not the only kicker in this stadium that can pin it right up against the sideline. Elliott's been doing a good job with the Dallas kickoffs and vice versa.
At the 21-yard line, Cowboys have it. 3:45 remaining in the opening half.
Atlanta's defense has not done much to stop the Cowboy offense from knocking off some big chunks of yardage ever since their opening drive. So a good opportunity for them to stiffen.
If Aikman completes his next pass, he'll tie the team record with a 14th consecutive completion, and he does not, as he throws it a little bit out of the reach of Michael Irvin. That's only his second incomplete pass of the game. His first pass was incomplete, and this one.
If he leads that inside, well, it wouldn't be 6 points because Deion Sanders would have probably run Irvin down, as he would just about anyone, but there was no inside help for Sanders, and that ball just overthrown. Take a look at Irvin. He just goes right by Sanders.
I hope Deion wasn't telling him, hey, I had you all the way.
Oh, if he leaves it inside instead of overthrowing it, his 6 points are very close.
There's
I think
Mike.
Sanders would have caught him.
That's Mike Gann. We'll get back to him in a minute, standing on the Falcons sidelines. He's a big story down here.
2nd and 10. Emmett Smith picks up 5. Third down.
Mike Gann is their 8th-year defensive end from Notre Dame, who within the last month was diagnosed with testicular cancer, had surgery, is in the process right now of receiving radiation. But talking to him down on the field before the game, really asked that I tell everybody, his friends, that he's doing well, that his prognosis is excellent, and he fully plans on being back next year playing defensive line for the Atlanta Falcons. He's feeling better. The radiation has made him nauseous, but he's doing well, and he wants everybody to know it, and of course we all wish him well.
3rd and 5, and here's Aikman throwing up to the 30-yard line, and somehow skittering away is Irvin, who initially was stopped, and that's what he does so well. He makes the catch and then picks up a lot more. All the way to the 38-yard line of the Falcons.
We talked about the 7- and 8-yard, in many ways like an Andre Reed in Buffalo, the guy who isn't afraid to work the middle and make people either miss him or, in this case, bounce off of him. This is Michael Irvin using his size, wrapped up, held by Deion, tackled by Deion, and Deion gets up looking like, why isn't this guy on the ground? That is the athletic ability and the all-around skill of Michael Irvin.
And strength for an outside receiver.
Yes, sir.
He is 6'2", about 200 pounds, and nothing Sanders could do.
2:20 to go in the half. Cowboys have 2 timeouts remaining. They try and end around here with Harper, who takes it inside the 30, and he's out of bounds at the 23-yard line.
Chuck Smith is saying that Mark Stepnoski, the center, got out there and hit him in the back. Either Stepnoski or Giesick, I'm not sure which one it was. There's 53 and 63.
That's a good call against the Atlanta Falcons. Always is. A lot of teams use reverses against them. They're such a pursuing attack defense.
It's Giesick. 63 comes out, and there you see he hits Chuck Smith in the back, but that was kind of a deceiving angle. Smith was actually down on the ground and underneath.
Very deceiving. Clobbered him in the back.
2-minute warning. 8 on the ground, and about gained them almost 2-1 in the air.
I think it's very key for Dallas to be able to control the rushing of Atlanta coming into tonight, because they're playing a straight 4-down line with Kenny Norton in the middle, and they are stopping the running game of Atlanta.
And here is Emmitt Smith. And he fights his way to the 18-yard line for a gain of about 5. 2nd and 6. Troy Aikman, who's been almost perfect tonight. We mentioned he came within 1 of establishing or tying the Dallas team record for most consecutive completions. Not held by Meredith, not held by Staubach, not held by White, not even held by Clint Longley. The record is held by Steve Ballure.
I was going to drop a Craig Morton in there.
Yeah, sure.
You mean there's something that Don Meredith doesn't hold? I know what he holds.
I won't answer that.
Maybe held it once.
He's sipping on it right now.
2nd and 5. And there's a flag. Novacek takes it inside the 5 and gets to the pylon for the touchdown momentarily. Let's see about the flag back at the line of scrimmage. Head linesman made the call. And I'm not even sure Novacek had control if it is against
Defense,
Atlanta.
number 21, lined up offside. Penlows refused. Touchdown.
Dion on the outside coverage, lined up offside, trying to get in the face of Irvin, and lined up offside.
You don't see that very often.
Glanville looking up at the replay.
All right, here's Novacek in his dive for the end zone. From that angle, it looks like he didn't have control of the football when it came across the goal line.
So close.
Yeah, that angle did make it appear, though, as if the ball was separated from his body.
Elliott's extra point is good. Novacek has made 5 catches in the first half. And remember, he had both Cowboy touchdowns last week in the loss to Washington.
Ball just has to break the plane. It's hard to tell from that angle, too. I'm sure we got a couple more. Novacek again with such quickness.
I mean, he definitely loses control of the football. Question being, was it before or after he crosses the goal line? The only thing we can say is that the side judge is right there.
That's Scott Case pulling on the arm.
Well, sooner or later they figured to get in, even if they said he was down at the 2-inch line. Dallas is terrific on 1st and goal, and Atlanta stinks on 1st and goal on defense.
What are they, 81% getting into the end zone from inside the 10-yard line?
Well, the difference being there, if they ruled it a fumble out in the field of play and it goes on through the end zone and out of the end zone, it's a touchback.
Yep.
That's what Atlanta certainly could have used.
I sucked you into buy in my replay theory now, didn't I?
I haven't said anything about buying into your replay theory.
Okay.
We were just analyzing the play on the field.
Let's get into the holiday spirit.
Yeah. I don't think Atlanta's feeling very generous right now.
Here's Sanders, and Dion's thinking about it. 7 yards deep, but he took a look at a few white shirts out there and figured, well, better to bring it out to the 20.
Yeah, Lynn Elliott hung that one up there deep into the end zone, and Sanders made the right move. It's okay to take a line drive that deep in the end zone, try and bring it out, but little or no chance for Sanders, even as good as he is, running him back. Because, again, he was pinned over against the left sideline. June Jones, offensive coordinator for Atlanta, and, of course, a major proponent of the run and shoot, red guns, whatever you want to call it, spread offense. That when it's working is beautiful to behold. When it isn't, it's embarrassing.
1st and 10. Falcons at the 20. They have all of their timeouts. Wilson leads them to the line out of the shotgun. 1st and 10 from the 20. And the catch is made. That's a gain of 6. Broussard takes it out of bounds up to 26, and it stops the clock at 1:10. A reminder at halftime, Jimmy Johnson, another tremendous year, coach of the year last year. He could be again this year, and they'll have a lot of competition from some rookie head men. And then we'll talk to George Seifert. We have Detroit against San Francisco next week. We'll find out from the 49er coach if Montana will play, how much Montana will play if he does, next week at Candlestick Park. 2nd down and 4 at the 26-yard line. That's a 1st down as Broussard steps out of bounds at the 32 with 1:04 left.
You might wonder why Broussard is so open. The Atlanta Falcons seldom, very rarely, throw to their running backs coming out of the backfield. Obviously, they have the 4 wide receivers ordinarily in the game, but they seldom use their backs out of the backfield. And the last 2 plays, Broussard is wide open. All in frequencies. They break the frequency down, they throw it into the computer, spit it out on Wednesday, give it to the defense, and what that has told Dallas, very seldom will they hit the offensive back from the backfield.
At the 32-yard line. Incomplete. That's Andre Rison, who's been pretty much blanketed tonight and has been quiet on the receiving end.
I don't think he has a reception, does he?
Andre has been blanked, and that is very unusual.
When you consider that coming into the game, his receptions match the number on his jersey.
You know, somebody was speculating, Dan, you find it interesting that Dallas has the #1 defense in the NFL through the 14 games, and they might not have anyone going to the Pro Bowl from that defensive unit.
Well, part of that is because of their age. Part of that is because Haley, who has been a Pro Bowl player before but has played outside linebacker, is now judged as a defensive end.
Here's Drew Hill making the catch, and that has it into Dallas territory at the 47-yard line. Dave Wanstead is the defensive coordinator. 50 seconds remaining, and a timeout is taken here, number 1 by Atlanta.
You know, really the only guy with any Pro Bowl experience to speak of is Haley, but he was always been going as a linebacker. And here he is, a defensive end, and the competition at defensive end, formidable in the NFC. Good look at him working against Ken, working against Broussard, who gets in his way. And Charles Haley has had, I guess by statistical standards of his past, had a disappointing year. Only 4 sacks coming into tonight's game. Be interesting to see what his long-term future will be with the Cowboys. They came to Dallas with only a 1-year contract. He's in that class of potential free agents.
I still think you play in the NFC East. A lot of good football teams. You meet week in and week out. And you're the #1 defensive team. And you really don't have any great star. I think it's a real tribute to a team defense under Dave Wanstead.
1st and 10, 47-yard line. Wilson throws, and a nice catch is made at the 28-yard line by Michael Haynes.
Oh, well thrown by Wilson.
Kevin Smith with the coverage, and another timeout for Atlanta. Their second with 43 ticks left. 21-yard pickup.
Dallas in there are 6 defensive backs. Hard to find an area that open, that deep downfield. And well thrown. Michael Haynes, good concentration, gets the reception and the first down.
At the 27, so Atlanta now with 1 timeout left, and they are very close. Well, they're in field goal range for Norm Johnson, who's having a terrific season. But Jerry Glanville thinking about 7 right now. That would be a lot better than 3. 20-7 is the score. One different kind of cat right there. Johnson, the field goal kicker, on the sideline. Wilson guides him to the 27, 1st and 10. Caught at the 21 by Pritchard. Rolled to the turf at the 18. 2nd and 1 coming up. And Atlanta does not take a timeout here. Wilson instead saves that last timeout. Now you got a 3rd and 1 coming up, so you got obviously time to run another play, and then if he can convert, another play after that. Depending how long, what type of a play, how long it takes them to uncover. Of course, keep in mind they'll get no cooperation from the Dallas Cowboys in getting their players back up and back to the huddle or back to the line of scrimmage. They'll intentionally cover them up, delay as long as they can. They're getting upright.
I think you've got to look for Rison down here. He's been shut out thus far, but he is so tough coming across the middle. And you're down in close.
And among other things, they need to convert. It's 3rd and 1. Off the fake. He throws. The catch is made by Pritchard. He's trying to get out of bounds to save the timeout and does at the 9-yard line.
There's 16 seconds remaining, too. Time for a couple.
Big play to get to that stripe and save that final timeout.
And Kenny Gant was the defensive back on Pritchard, and he wrapped him up and made sure he didn't get away from him. And he doesn't know how close he is to the sidelines, and really doesn't make an effort to keep Pritchard from going out of bounds, nor should he. He's intent upon making the tackle. That was a smart play by Mike Pritchard.
1st and goal, 16 seconds left.
Watch the Dallas blitz here. Here it comes.
Here comes everybody, and that causes Wilson to throw up a duck as Darren Woodson came charging in and might have gotten a piece of it. Certainly got a piece of Wilson. That used 4 seconds, 12 ticks left.
That was not a very well disguised blitz. You would have thought that Atlanta, Frank, might have been in a better position to handle it. Woodson breaks a bit early. Broussard did get in there to get to his feet, but Wade, I'll let you describe that ball. What was that?
When you shoot down, you'd like to have back. But it still only used 4 seconds. And if Atlanta could put it in the end zone, This would be a different second half.
They also have time to not necessarily go to the end zone. They still have a timeout.
Second and goal. Wilson fires to the back of the end zone and incomplete. Haynes got his hands on it, but couldn't hold on. And now you're down to 6 seconds.
See, I don't think you had to go to the end zone. You could have, just look how much time, you could have thrown one short. 12 seconds is enough time to run a play and stop it with a timeout.
Well, that should have been caught.
But if you do that, Dan, and you don't get into the end zone, then you're saying to yourself, oh, wait a second, I'm going to have to kick the field goal here. You know, if you leave yourself with, let's say, 4 seconds, if you don't try to go to the end zone.
Oh, well, sure.
But
I mean, you could run it into the end zone after you catch it, is my point.
Well, in any event, they go for it in one play, don't make it, have to settle for what they hope is 3. 27-yard attempt for Johnston, and that's good. 2 seconds remaining in the half. And there was 2 seconds left, and somehow the timekeeper didn't press the button. And there go those 2 seconds. And Vanville is saying, where'd those 2 seconds go? But he doesn't need those 2 seconds.
Considering he'd have to kick off with them.
Yep. In any event, they get 3. That ends the half. The Cowboys lead the Falcons 20-10. And back we come with halftime activities.
We're at halftime, the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, the Atlanta Falcons and the Dallas Cowboys. In a moment, Al will talk with the 49ers head coach George Seifert. The 49ers, of course, have locked up the NFC West, and they're gearing up for the playoffs and a run at another Super Bowl. But first, Jimmy Johnson, whom I spoke with about his commitment to the game he loves and how that commitment has affected his life.
Well, there's no question the commitment's there. Yeah, it's not just a commitment. It's not just the work. I really enjoy football. I enjoy coaching players. I enjoy the relationship with players. I enjoy the relationship with coaches. And so I'm doing what I want to do, and that's the biggest thing. And the other thing is other people try to look at my life and see, well, you know, what's inside, and I don't know that I'll ever let anybody find out what's inside.
Why is that?
Well, I think it insulates me from everybody else. It keeps me in control of my own life. The more that people know about me, the less control I have of myself. You know, maybe it's the mystery, or maybe it's just that I don't want to be like everybody else.
What's been the toughest part of it?
I think the toughest...
I'm getting personal.
Yeah, the toughest thing has been probably my family. It was very difficult through some years, but now it's coming more into place. I probably have a better relationship with my 2 sons now than I ever have had, and they understand now. They probably didn't understand when they were 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, but now that they're grown, they both live in Dallas. You know, they understand, you know, what I'm committed to doing. They understand why I'm doing it. And I think that's one reason why we have the feeling for each other that we have now.
Jimmy, you've worked this game at every level, from the high school level to several different colleges, great success at the University of Miami. When you put it all together, the ultimate would be a Super Bowl, wouldn't it?
Well, there's no question. I think the greatest, most rewarding moment I ever had in football was when we won the national championship, went undefeated there at Miami. That was the goal that we set for ourselves, and we have a goal set for ourselves here in professional level, and it's got to be the Super Bowl.
Halftime in Atlanta. Next week we go to San Francisco. This past Saturday, Joe Montana was in uniform, but in effect inactive, the emergency quarterback, and didn't play against Tampa Bay, as we are joined now by 49er head coach George Seifert at the 49er complex in Santa Clara, California. George, thank you for joining us. And the question we have, of course, is will Montana be on the 45-man next week, and will he play against Detroit next Monday night?
Well, he will. He's scheduled to play. I think right now we're just trying to decide exactly how to work both Steve Young and Joe. I think we look forward to Joe playing, though, a couple of quarters, at least 2 quarters, and certainly Steve Young the same. We're all kind of excited to watch him play.
How has he looked to you in practice over the past month or so?
Well, I think he's looked quite good. Matter of fact, he's probably game ready, or has been here for a couple of weeks. I think Steve Young's done a beautiful job, as we all know, with his football team this season, and it's been so important for us to get to a point where we could win our division and clinch home field advantage, so to speak. And and it just seems the right time now. We want to see exactly where Joe is. He's looked good in practice, but we want to see him under the gun, and we're all kind of anxious about it.
Young's done a great job. Last year, Steve Bono, when Young got hurt, did a great job. So the question becomes, if Montana looks pretty good next Monday, what do you do in postseason? Does Montana then become number 2 in front of Bono?
I think that's something that will be evaluated, Al, as far as the way the game goes and how Joe, in fact, does look. I expect that he'll do quite well. I think maybe one of the unsung heroes in this entire scenario of quarterbacks has been Steve Bono and the way that he's handled this situation. In fact, all 3 quarterbacks have handled it beautifully and have enabled us to have the success that we've had this season.
George, Montana's been saying for about 4 to 6 weeks he has been ready. How come the 49ers waited until last week to activate him?
Well, a matter of being ready as far as being able to throw the ball and, in fact, being ready to participate against a live defense is a little bit different. And I think we felt that we needed this time for Joe to practice against a skeleton type of defenses and to get him prepared for this particular game coming up. At the same time, as I mentioned, it was important for the starters at hand to carry the team to the point where we are right now.
George, thank you very much. Congratulations on a great season, and we'll see you next Monday night at Candlestick Park. Joe Montana will play against the Detroit Lions next Monday night. Halftime here in Atlanta, where Dallas leads the Falcons by a score of 20-10, and back we come at the Georgia Dome. Frankly, my dear, all Cowboys are damn good.
And that is an accurate summation of their first half, where they lead 20-10. But that could change with this guy and one kickoff return.
You know, I figured out why he's so good. He gets a lot of practice.
Well, that happens when you have the last ranked defensive team in the National Football League.
Here's a bouncing kick, and that's taken at the 9-yard line, and they can't even get it into the hands of Sanders. It's taken by Eric Pegram, who last year at the end of the season was their #1 running back, and now he's a special teamer. He takes it to the 26, and Clayton Holmes makes the tackle. Well, we haven't seen very many incomplete passes tonight. In fact, we talked about the consecutive passes. Each had a real long streak in the first half. Aikman wound up completing 15 of 17. Wilson 14 of 20. So for the game, the two of them combined 78.4%. And that's not far away from the all-time record of 82.1% in one game. Steve Bartkowski on the Atlanta end and Joe Montana on the San Francisco end. And Billy White Shoes Johnson was the B. Johnson, who was 0 for 1. They begin with Broussard on the ground, and he takes it out to the 30-yard line. That's a gain of 4. He's tackled by Tony Casillas. As you look at Aikman. You know, Casillas made that last tackle. We were visiting with Tony. Casillas came over from Atlanta. We talked about his problems with Glanville. He's a horse owner. He has a horse. He has a thoroughbred by the name of Harry and Jerry. When he liked Glanville, he named part of the horse after Glanville. And then, of course, as he says it now, as he tells the story, he says, guess which part of the horse is named after Jerry?
Which part?
Well, I asked him.
Jerry is a love-or-hate guy.
2nd and 6. Catch is made by Pritchard.
Knowing Jerry Glanville, I doubt that causes him a great deal of concern.
No. Interesting about Casillas, though, I mean, remember we were talking to Jimmy Johnson about Casillas, and he said he remembered recruiting him when he was at Oklahoma State.
Notice the time
he didn't go there, but I mean, he did recruit him. He said he knew he was a good kid, so they went ahead and made the deal.
Notice the time of possession here. That's exactly what the score is. 20-10.
Point per minute.
I can't recall ever having seen it work out that precisely.
Yep. Well, maybe it just looks good that way.
That's a point a minute offense. At the 37-yard line, it's Broussard fumbling the football after a nice run, and the Dallas Cowboys appear to have recovered, and they have. Kenneth Gant is the guy who stripped the football from Steve Broussard, and at the bottom of the pile to give possession to the Cowboys is Larry Brown.
Boy, it just hopped right to Brown. There were 3 Falcons in the vicinity of the football. There's Kenny Gant. Watch Gant coming in from the left. There's the right hand, knocks out the ball. Broussard can't get back up. And Rison is there. Mike Kent is there. Drew Hill is there. and yet the lone Cowboy comes away with the ball.
You know, Kenny Gant's the guy that makes things happen for the Cowboys. 3 interceptions. He's got 3 sacks. Good football player.
Oh, and one of the fine special teams players in the entire league.
Does it all.
Cowboys with a 10-point lead, first down at the Falcon 48-yard line, and Emmitt Smith takes it down to the 40 for a gain of 8. Jesse Tuggle and Jesse Solomon converge for the tackle.
To keep this in perspective, for Dallas, they need a win tonight to wrap up the NFC Eastern Division, guaranteeing that home field, guaranteeing a week off, at least home field for the first game, and the first NFC East championship since 1985 for America's team, which is back.
And that would also put them in a position to host the NFC Championship game if by chance the 49ers were upset.
Here is Smith breaking one inside the 30. That's a gain of 17 down to the 23-yard line. He's tackled by Donaldson. And Emmitt Smith has now gained 67 yards tonight, so he's on a pace to go over 100.
That average, anytime that it's on the far side of 4, creeping towards 5. That's where Smith is tonight, 4.8 yards per carry. That's just plain old-fashioned butt whipping at the line of scrimmage. The Dallas offensive line rooted everybody in a black jersey out of their way.
That's exactly what that defense gives up on average, too. Atlanta defense, 4.8.
Can I say that, by the way?
Well, during the night, it took us whipping. At the 23-yard line, here is Harper making the catch. Touchdown.
Oh, McKyer is complaining bitterly about a push-off. There is no flag, nor will there be one. But Tim McKyer is still going at it with the official on the sideline, and to anyone who will listen. Let's watch it from ground level, coming right at us. Well, Alvin Harper with the tremendous size at 6'3". And he does get the left hand out to keep that separation.
That's very good.
Just enough to keep him away, not enough to draw a flag. That's a pretty smart play by Alvin Harper.
Extra point by Lynn Elliott is good.
If he would have rocked McKyer back by hitting him that hard, that brings a flag. But he did knock him back. He really just kind of absorbs him with the left hand and goes up and makes it. Big time play by Harper.
Holiday greetings from Budweiser. The people who bring you Budweiser wish you and yours the very best of everything this holiday season.
Explaining how he did it, Alvin Harper, who was a 7-foot high jumper in high school. A few moments ago, you saw him leap high over the head of Tim McKyer.
And using the asset that both he and Michael Irvin have, and that is the tremendous size at wide receiver. That's where it comes in handy when you're in close quarters with another DB. Having it and using it, they can do both.
Lynn Elliott, the rookie out of Texas Tech, bounces one to Sanders at the 2-yard line. Dion comes flying up the middle, loses the football. Dallas has it again. Thomas Everett is the guy who recovers it. And Tommy Agee is the man who dislodged it.
For the first time tonight, Dion got the football in the middle of the field, one that did not hang up there and let the coverage get downfield. He tried to exploit it, and he was really hammered.
Dion's neon is on the verge of running out of gas. He's trying. It's a good effort right up the middle. He takes to the air here, and before he even gets up off the ground, the ball comes out.
His own man really dislodged it.
Tommy Agee was the closest Cowboy to him.
At the 29 now, Emmitt Smith swings to the outside. Picks up 3, still going! Emmitt Smith doing a Barry Sanders imitation. Touchdown.
And Deion Sanders hits him late and knocks him down, but it's a touchdown.
I'll tell you what, he looks like he might be hurt too.
He's under the stand.
Rolled under the stands. We're going to have to scrape him out.
Oh, there he is.
I'll tell you, whether he got into the end zone or not, he deserves it.
Well,
what an effort.
Whether he got in or not, he's got it.
He's going to keep it.
Keeps the ball.
Oh, that was beautiful.
What an effort. Reminiscent of a run we saw early in the year by Barry Sanders, where he was hit, stopped. Look at this. Look at the number of hits he takes, but nobody from the Falcons wraps up.
I'll tell you, their leading tackler, Jesse Tuggle, had his arms wrapped around him, and he still was able to spin and twist out.
Lynn Elliott for the point after, and so a 10-point halftime lead in 3 minutes and 35 seconds has been extended to a 24-point margin. E. Smith.
There's Tuggle.
Well, at least we see Deion return another kickoff.
He'll be exhausted when the night's over.
FC West champion Niners have announced the return to action of Joe Montana. They'll meet Detroit next week on the Monday Night Football season finale.
You know, a lot of times you ask how much can a player bench press? Well, take a look at this.
More importantly, he dropped that too.
That's Deion coming off the field after the fumble, and then watching the touchdown by Emmitt Smith. And the score is 34-10. And Lynn Elliott sends this one off Sanders' hand and out of the end zone for a touchback. And now you've got a scrap.
We've got a fight down here. Is that Vincent Smith?
That's Vincent Smith. Yep. And you got Chuck Smith down there as well.
This brought out a flag.
Will it be our basic offsetting? Larry Nemers is the referee. Well, Jimmy Johnson watching his team respond after last week's agonizing defeat. The call is against the Cowboys. We only saw the signal one way, so we assume just
Personal
against
foul
Dallas.
after the dead ball on number 57 of the kicking team. It'll be 15 yards from the 20-yard line, 1st and 10.
So Vincent Smith and Jimmy Johnson wants to know why you don't have offsetting here.
Or at the very least,
so
an
does Joe
explanation.
Avisano.
Yeah, an explanation of what happened. And now this is a point in time where, needless to say, they're leading by 24 points. Jimmy doesn't want to see his team lose concentration. Football coaches have a tendency of kicking it into high gear right here because they do not want their team to let up at all.
From the 35-yard line, that catch is made by Drew Hill. He takes it out to the 44-yard line, gain of 9. And it's been that kind of a season and lots of meetings of that sort on the Falcons sideline. Meanwhile, Sanders, well, prime time has not done what he would prefer to do in prime time. Both of his fumbles have come under the Klieg lights. Second and 1 at the 44 is Wade Wilson. Throws, and that catch is made by Haynes. And he takes it to the 41 of Dallas. Michael Haynes has a first down.
Yeah, still Andre Rison has yet to see his first reception. He hasn't got one, has he?
No, and then there's Andre. I saw him before the game. He's going around humming, bum, 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 you know, the Monday Night Open theme. He loves playing on Monday night, but he's been blank tonight.
He's ready for some football.
Yeah.
Had 80 receptions coming into tonight.
First and 10, 41-yard line, 10-10 to go, third quarter. Cowboys up by 24. Cowboys show blitz. Here they come. Wilson releases quickly. Drew Hill with a little spin move, but he's still tackled by Thomas Everett. Another pickup by the Cowboys. Everett didn't sign his contract with Pittsburgh, so they picked up Thomas. And we talked about at the top of the show, it's Jerry Jones and it's Jimmy Johnson, and they make all the calls, and they go out and they get the Haleys, and they do the drafting, and they get the Everetts, and they put all of the pieces in the puzzle together. And if they don't win the Super Bowl, they're sure going to come close.
Herschel Walker, of course, the big story, but they've made 43 trades. 29 times they've gone to Plan B. They have really moved it.
2nd and 8 at the 39-yard line. And Wilson, and there's Rising's first opportunity tonight, and that one is dropped. It'll be 3rd and 8.
He gets an earful from rookie Kevin Smith, the Cowboys' #1 draft choice this year. It's easy to talk when you're up by 24 points. When you're down by 24, you immediately become a much better listener.
You really get lockjaw quickly, don't you?
You don't have much to say, because the other team has the ultimate comment. Look at the scoreboard.
And in the shadows there is Jerry Jones. And he and Jimmy Johnson, as many of you know the story, they were teammates at the University of Arkansas. Jerry made his money in oil. You know, they mused about owning and coaching a team together one day. 3rd down and 8. And there's Andre Rison making the catch, but losing the ball. Did he get it back is the question at the 36-yard line. Who's got it?
Looked like one of the Falcons offensive linemen covered it up. And he did.
Kenneth Gant is the guy who dislodged it.
Yep, making something happen once again.
Looks like maybe Houston Hoover has it down there. Yeah, that's who it is, number 69.
He swept it up.
He certainly did. You cannot draw me into this, Al. I refuse.
Too early.
It is way too early. There is Rison trying to make something happen, and that's where more often than not you'll see somebody fumble. Is that they're just giving a second effort, and it has not worked out for the Falcons this season or tonight.
And they have to go for it. You're down by 24. It's 4th and 5 at the 36-yard line. And Wilson hits Pritchard at the 29-yard line, and that is a first down. Larry Brown with the coverage.
A good sharp throw by Wade Wilson. He has really thrown the ball well tonight. It's unfortunate that the scoreboard doesn't reflect how well Wade Wilson has played quarterback this evening.
A good read on the part of Wilson too, Dan. He picks up the single coverage. The roll was to the left side of the field, and Wilson with a good read gets the completion.
Throws it back to the inside, right on the shoulder pad. Good velocity. An excellent throw.
Wade Wilson. Pritchard can't make the catch in bounds. His best effort, but incomplete.
Boy, another 9.9 for style points, huh?
He has had 2 9.9s tonight. Neither one goes down on the stat sheet as a completion. That was a sticky-fingered one-handed grab.
Chris Miller, we looked at him during the first half in Civvies, and with a knee surgery, back next season.
It's worth looking at again.
Yeah, there's a catch Lester Hayes would be proud of.
Ooh, yeah. He came close, too.
That's a catch reminiscent of the old days where the players were layered and stick 'em, and it just smacked their hand and stayed there.
On 2nd and 10, they try a draw. This is Tony Smith. And Tony Smith is driven out of bounds at the 21-yard line by Kevin Smith and James Washington. You know, when you're down by this many, the running game goes out the window for the most part, but Tony was one of 2 first-round draft choices. In fact, he's the guy they picked in the deal which sent Brett Favre to Green Bay. They got a first-round pick, and he was their 2nd first-round choice this year, with Bob Whitfield being the other.
320 yards coming into tonight's game for Tony Smith, and You just get the feeling that, and there's Whitfield, by the way, standing over on the Falcons sideline where he has been all season long. He has seen precious little playing time, but two great tackles here in Atlanta, Chris Hinton and Mike Kent.
3rd down and 2, and they try to pick up the first on the ground, and they're a little short of that, as Tony Smith can only get it to the 20, and that's going to set up a 4th down and a yard or less.
Don't you get the impression, though, guys, that Tony Smith is a running back that the Falcons are waiting for him to blossom? I mean, I don't know that you just automatically say he's a #1 draft choice, he's in the NFL, and he's going to be a star. I don't think anyone is saying that at this point in time about Tony Smith.
Yeah, well, the Ken Herrock went out and he got him, and clearly, you know, as you talked about before, Dan, you get a Barry Sanders with a run and shoot or a Lorenzo White, it makes a tremendous difference. There is the story, and they can only hope that somebody like that matures. Remember, though, last year they tried Eric Pegram, and this time they do not convert, as the Cowboys are equal to the task, and they give it to Keith Jones, his first carry of the night, and he is stopped by Jimmy Jones.
That might be one of the real problems. 2 #1 draft picks, a running back, are not tearing things up here. The offensive line of these Atlanta Falcons. Mike Cann's been around 15 years. Was a great player. He's playing on a very sore knee. Chris Hinton over the other side playing on a very sore knee. I mean, the Cowboys just came right through the cracks, and they don't get the first.
At halftime, Joe Montana plays. First time in 2 years next Monday night. Emmitt Smith to the 23. As everybody knows, the 49ers have everything they need to be clinched. So they play out the string next Monday, but the Candlestick Park will be rocking next Monday night because number 16 is going to get into the game, and as Seifert told us at halftime, he hopes for 2 quarters against Detroit, and we'll be there.
And lost in that story is another quarterback story, Andre Ware. Back-to-back wins now for Detroit. Look forward to seeing 16 back out there circulating around.
Emmitt Smith, meanwhile, 16 carries tonight, 99 yards. So he's on his way to another triple-figure game. But for the moment, they go to Harper, and that's a first down as Alvin has it up to the 40-yard line. Ken McKyer makes the stop with 5:25 to go in the third. 34-10.
There is no absence of animosity between these two teams. You could see it right there that Harper and McKyer came up talking to one another. These are the Cowboys. We saw Jimmy Johnson in our open talk about he likes his team to have a certain amount of swagger. Well, this team has 2 things. It has swagger and it has talent. The Falcons, unfortunately, are in a period where they have a little more swagger than they have talent.
Swagger a lot better with talent, don't you?
Yes, it do go better together.
Here's Smith, and that's a 2-yard gain, and that's enough to put him up and over 100.
One without the other is a little bit hollow.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned the animosity. Our man Keith Jackson, let's face it, he coined that phrase about 15 years ago. You got a couple of teams that don't like each other very much. And that's the way to put it. And the Falcons meet the Cowboys.
What did he say about the big uglies?
He said they're in the trenches.
That's right.
That's where you play.
I know one of his phrases that won't get used tonight.
What's that?
A real barn burn.
Burned to the ground.
Took the cornfield with it.
Yeah, it sure did.
2nd and 8 at the 42-yard line. Emmitt Smith, up to the 45-yard line. Lost his footing.
Lost it. He's a little stutter stepping. He would have picked up at least 10 or 15 on that. Now look at this. Just a little quick stutter and bang. The shoe adheres to the surface, the artificial surface, and down he goes.
Jesse Tuggle got the tap Emmitt Smith while he was down, so he gets credit for an unassisted tackle.
And they give him about 20 every time he has one.
That's the easiest unassisted tackle anyone will ever have on Emmitt Smith.
3rd and 4 at the 46-yard line. 3:25 left in the third. Emmitt slippery, and he gets knocked down from behind. Darian Connor, who was already into the backfield, knocks him down, and that will create a rare Dallas punt.
They have scored on how many consecutive possessions? 6? Yes, a rare punt indeed.
Prior to tonight,
Deion's
Jerry
trying
Glanville telling us that they had only given up what, 1 touchdown in 14 quarters defensively.
Anchor the benches if Dion doesn't do much with this.
Yeah.
Well, Houston Hoover, the guard, sitting on one. I know Dion's not going to get that one off the ground.
Short hop by Saxon, a nice pickup and a good kick under the circumstances. The flag is down. That's a 48-yard punt, taken at the 5. And Sanders is out of bounds at the 14-yard line. Charles Washington came flying in, and there were 2 flags. Mike Saxon paid the price. And this one could very well wind up in Dallas's possession as Bobby April.
It will, even running. Holding against Dallas. If it's running into the kicker, that's enough for a first down, but
could be offset with 2 flags here.
Yeah.
Joe Avizano, the special teams coach for Dallas.
70, offense, holding, roughing the kicker. The penalty's offset, replay 4th down.
Charles Washington was the Falcon defensive back that tagged Saxon.
Dale Hellestray was the snapper.
And he's also the one that was flagged for holding.
So they'll put it back at the 47-yard line.
Dion will have a chance to work his magic again.
Bobby April, one of the more animated and energetic special teams coaches in the National Football League, has not had a lot to get excited about tonight. Jerry Glanville having a discussion on the sideline, probably wanting to make the point that seeing the snap bounced on its way back to the kicker, that his man should be excused.
Jerry Glanville started out in this game as a special teams coach.
Falling on deaf ears.
Was here with Atlanta as a special teams coach in the early 80s. Came on to be a defensive coordinator before bouncing around and going to Houston and then finally here.
He has had success wherever he has gone. You have to give him credit for that. And a lot of it very quick success.
Saxon to punt again. Sanders, that's another 48-yard boot. And a 6-yard run back. Dion to the 11-yard line where he's tackled by Jimmy Smith. So they keep pinning Dion. And the Cowboys keep pinning the Falcons by 24. We have 2:17 left in the 3rd quarter at the Georgia Dome. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, and Dan Dierdorf. The Dallas Cowboys trying to wrap it up in the NFC East, and they'll do it with a victory, and they lead by 24.
There's a look at Bob Whitfield, their #1 draft choice, who's taken Mike Kenn's place at left tackle.
First down Falcons from the 11-yard line as Wade Wilson guns one perfectly into the arms of Pritchard up at the 33-yard line for a gain of 22 and a first down.
Pritchard has had a big night tonight. The 2 circus catches that end up being out of bounds, they don't count for anything, but he not only has caught the ball well, but he's taken some big shots after the reception and held on well. That's his 7th catch of the evening for 74 yards, and they've not been easy.
Maybe his success probably is why we have not seen a whole lot of Andre Rison. I think they're taking him away and giving the single coverage to Pritchard, although that was zone and he just hooked up in the right position.
From the 33, under pressure, they set up a screen. This is Keith Jones, and he's close to a first down, tackled near the 43-yard line. Appears to be a little short of it. 1:20 to go in the 3rd.
Good read that time by Wade Wilson. Kenny Gant coming on the blitz, and Wade gives just enough ground to allow Jones to get out there and dumps him the ball. I've been impressed with Wade Wilson's work tonight. It's not like he's some rookie that we don't think can play in this league. He's been doing this for a long time, but those are respectable numbers. In fact, they're well better than respectable. 22 of 30.
2nd and 1 at the 43-yard line as Wilson goes back and fires an out that's caught by Hill. He brings it in at the 37-yard line. Drew Hill.
Looking over the numbers for this game, what was it? Drew Hill and his accomplishments past the age of 30. He has been a highly productive receiver later in life. And this is an illustration of why. Look at the work and getting the right foot down in time.
And they set up another screen to Jones, but this time it is sniffed out perfectly by Woodson. Loss of 2. Hill again.
There's Hill on the sideline, but look at the right foot. Look at him get it down. Talk about body control and presence and knowing exactly where you are in relationship to the sideline. That's beautiful work by Drew Hill.
Hill is a guy, as Nemmers throws a flag
Too many
here.
men in the field on the defensive team. 5 yards. Repeat first down.
Looking at Steve Hurt's notes here, he had 138 receptions while he was in his 20s. Here we have it right here, and 453 when he's in his 30s. Now, a football player's life, you have many more years in your 20s than you do in your 30s, and that is talk about a late bloomer.
Those early years with the Rams, it changed a little when you get into that run and shoot offense of Houston and now Atlanta.
1st and 5, and this is Pritchard making the catch, and that should be a first down, and it will also be the end of the quarter.
Will somebody make it?
No, the back judge says incomplete. Take another look here. On a 1st and 5. Good call. Touched the ground.
Sure did. And that official on the sideline to our camera right there was the only one who really had the vantage point and correctly came in and made the call.
End of the 3rd quarter. It's Dallas 34, Atlanta 10, and we'll return. Choo-choo up at Stone Mountain, the park just east of Atlanta. Great tourist attraction. Didn't quite catch that. What'd she say? Good morning, America?
It was I wish I were Miss America.
Oh, all right. We start the 4th quarter. It's 2nd down and 5. Falcons at the Cowboy 32-yard line. Dallas up by 24, and away to Wilson, going all the way, incomplete. Intended for Risen, looks to the flag and sees none. Larry Brown covering.
Larry Brown complaining that he was being interfered with by Andre Rison. Larry Brown playing on a pretty sore knee. He's had trouble with it for the past couple of weeks. He gets tied up man for man, number 80. 24 is Larry Brown. Larry Brown saying he was pushed off, and he was.
That's just standard fare in the NFL.
Yeah.
There will always be hand fighting between receiver and defensive back.
3rd and 5 at the 32-yard line.
Look out.
Wilson sacked at the 38. Leon Lett. And that's the first sack tonight for the Cowboys.
Leon came into the game tonight with 2.5 sacks. And Dave Wanstead telling us before the game he's not sure that there's a better reserve defensive tackle in the game.
Emporia State.
Yep.
7th round draft pick.
A wee lad, a mere 6'6", 292.
They're very deep along the defensive front. Very deep.
Deep and young.
And there's Jeffcoat having a tremendous year, and he's barely been a factor tonight. Jim Jeffcoat in his 10th season. They've taken a 1st and 5 and turned it into a 4th and 11 and turned it into giving the ball up. Haley. So Haley gets the sack, and they go the entire game without a sack and then pick them up back to back.
This is called beating the soft corner. Charles Haley comes right around the soft shoulder of Chris Hinton, who turned and just mainlines it right to Wade Wilson.
Gant is shaken up on the play with 14:18 remaining. 34-10, Big D. Dallas takes over at the 47, 1st and 10. Aikman pump fake. Aikman going deep for Harper. Incomplete. Tim McKyer covering on the play.
And good coverage it was, too. McKyer playing it absolutely perfect.
No lack of shyness on the part of the Dallas Cowboys. A 34-10 lead on 1st down. Go ahead and put it up in the air like that.
Well, just thinking the same thing.
Hey, Well, one thing about Jerry Glanville, you have to say, he asks for none, and he gives none. And he's taken his fair share of whippings and has said nothing about it, and doesn't like it when other coaches complain when he first one.
2nd and 10, Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith inside the 30 to the 29-yard line. He's tackled by Deion Sanders. So another tremendous night for Smith and a forgettable night for Neon.
Florida and Florida State getting it on. Watch him cover up the football. He knows he's in traffic. Deion trying to pull it out.
He did. He got his hand on the ball. He got that left one in there. Emmitt Smith does not surrender that ball lightly.
Emmitt Smith, that 17th touchdown coming tonight, breaking Dan Reeves' mark. The current Bronco coach, setting it 26 seasons ago. Emmitt again. Oh, he's fun to watch. To everybody but Atlanta. Touchdown.
There's number 18.
You're seeing some great running, and you're seeing some horrific tackling.
Well, Pro Bowl balloting is tomorrow around the NFL. And you're looking at a man who's just padding the ballot box because he was in anyway. But this might make it unanimous. Emmitt Smith. And I have nothing to add after what you said. Good running and horrific tackling.
Lynn Elliott for the point after. Emmitt Smith has gained 154 yards tonight. That's a 29-yard TD scamper. There's a little altercation out on the field, but nothing worthy of our attention. 41-10, Dallas. The last time we were here, 49ers beat them 41-3.
And we were here for that.
Yeah, and we're here tonight, and it's 41-10.
Yeah.
Well, as Dan pointed out, Atlanta giving up an average of 4.8 yards per rush.
And an average of 40-plus points per game when we're here.
Atlanta, they've been the kings of the blowout this year.
Both ways.
Yeah, they won games by 34 and 28, and they've lost games by 39, 38, 27, and whatever they lose by tonight.
Not very consistent. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. But it's kind of consistent with Monday Night Football this year. I mean, it's kind of crazy the way it's worked out. The margin of victory in our Monday night games, I don't have to tell fans of this package, has been huge. The hugest, in fact, in the history of the package. And we go back 23 years and more. There's Vi Sikahema's alter ego, I suppose, trying to punch out the goalpost. But the margin of victory on a Monday night game this year has been 16.7 points.
Wow. Good matchups. I mean, they've been teams that, when you look at it going in, you're saying this is good stuff.
Yeah.
Falcons last year in the playoffs. The Lions last year in the playoffs.
Well, give me the hype award or whatever. I mean, next week we have a game that really means nothing in the standings, but I'm telling you, I cannot wait to be in Candlestick Park when Joe Montana comes back out onto the field.
That'll be a moment.
That is going to be tremendous.
What, it's been 2 years since he's faced live bullets.
2 years. Here is Sanders pinned again.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, he's coming out.
Yeah, he's got to come out. I don't think anybody touched him.
No, and the whistle had not blown. That would have been a safety.
This is a wacky play, but it's going to turn out to be a run back to the 28-yard line.
Only Deion could get involved in something like that.
The only way you can end up in the end zone is if your momentum took you into the end zone. Your momentum in chasing the ball. And Deion looked like he fielded that ball cleanly and walked into the end zone. Jimmy Johnson yelling, "Where is the whistle?"
That momentum, they would not say that carried him in there. He kneels down.
Well, that was
not
close.
been touched. No whistle is blown. And he looks up, sees the official looking at him, and he says, "Hey, I better get out of here, babe."
That was a real gray area. I mean, Deion was running backwards. He was running backwards to get the football. Jimmy's got a good point. I mean,
they would have blown a whistle right there had his momentum carried him into the end zone. And when he knelt down. And when he didn't hear the whistle, that's heads up.
But when you, let me pose this question. When you take a knee in the end zone, are you not surrendering? I mean, you are seeking protection, and you are ending the play when you take a knee in the end zone.
I don't know.
That should have been the end of the play either way.
I don't know.
The quarterback anymore isn't allowed to come back and take a knee and then come back up and throw the football.
I was trying to say, I don't know if there's a surrender clause in there or not.
I think Jimmy Johnson has an excellent point.
We're going to go to the rule book on this, because if you take it back and then put your knee down, as opposed to just putting a knee down under any circumstances.
I mean, the whole purpose of putting your knee down in the end zone is you're seeking protection.
Exactly. Here's Risen, and he needs protection and doesn't get any from Larry Brown.
I mean, if you allow a player to take a knee in the end zone and then come back out of the end zone, what's the purpose of taking a knee in the end zone?
Sure. And there is a fully involved coach. And
I think it might change when you carry the ball into the end zone on your own.
Right.
All right, we're leafing through the book.
Jerry Seaman, if you're watching, give us a call.
Don't make it collect.
The NFL's director of officiating. Whoa.
Here's Keith Jones taking his way out to, or making his way out to the 37-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 1 with about 12:10 to play. And Dallas comfortably in front, 41-10. 3rd and 1. Wade Wilson throwing, and that's caught by Andre Rison. A double spin move, and out to the 50 he goes for an Atlanta first down.
Frank, don't you love to see a quarterback like that who throws the ball back to the inside of the field, allowing his receiver to catch it and move upfield? It doesn't sound like much, but it's important. Instead of to the sideline, he threw it back to the middle of the field and gives a guy like Rison a chance to do something with it.
And a beautiful job by Rison. Kept that knee off the ground. That contact had been made.
1st and 10 at the 50-yard line. Wilson throws. Pritchard makes the catch, avoids a tackle, and picks up 20 as he is steered out of bounds at the 30-yard line by Kevin Smith.
Pritchard right under the arms of James Washington, coming up there for the big hit. Pritchard, who's having a big night, just ducked under the arms of Washington, and he was gone. A couple of good moves. Saw Rison a moment ago. Look at this.
That was hardly textbook.
Pritchard, 8 catches tonight, and look out! That's a big sack by Haley, big in terms of yardage lost. It's going to be a 13 or 14-yard sack.
Haley's only had 4 sacks coming in to tonight's game. He's had a couple tonight, but he probably has picked up double teaming more than any other Dallas Cowboy, and Jim Jeffcoat has benefited from that, I'm sure. He has 9.5 sacks. Tony Tolbert has 8.5 sacks, as most of the offensive lines they have played have concentrated on Haley.
Officially a 12-yard sack as they spotted at the 42. It's 2nd and 22. It is swung out here to Michael Haynes, and Haynes goes down to the arms of a trio of Cowboys at the 30-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
Bill Frayling coming out of the game. He's another one of that offensive line that has a bad knee.
He just couldn't make it, Frank. He just took himself out of the ball game. Frayling and Hinton both will require knee surgery at the end of the season. And Mike Ken, the left tackle, was playing with a partially torn medial collateral ligament.
Here's Wilson on 3rd and 10. He has to get to the 20 to convert, and he's tackled at the 25-yard line by Mickey Pruitt. And it'll be 4th and 5 with 9:45 left in the 4th quarter, and the Cowboys up 41-10.
You would be hard-pressed to find a football team that has had as much trouble in the training room as have the Atlanta Falcons. There's another look at Mike Ken on the sideline.
We talked about the 3 defensive ends that they've lost, but we just now have got around to talking about an offensive line that's been very affected by the injury.
4th and 5, and they convert here as Pritchard makes his 9th catch of the game. Good for a first down. Takes it to the Dallas 14, tackled by Robert Williams.
Bill Frayling. A lot of excellent offensive line. And when you consider that Frayling, Hinton, and Ken all on the same team, you can see why this club, this franchise has had a lot of offensive success in the past. I mean, that's better than most.
This is Keith Jones for a gain of 4. To the 10 he goes. 2nd and 6. So the Falcons on their way to going 6 up and 9 down, and they will close the season in Anaheim next week. Johnson's Cowboys go home and close against the Bears in what will be Mike Singletary's final game. 2nd and 6. And Wilson guns it into the end zone, incomplete. Intended for Pritchard.
From just about this area where the Falcons have had a great deal of trouble this year getting the ball into the end zone. Conversely, the Cowboys, when they get down around the 10, inside the 10, they get it into the end zone over 80% of the times that they're down there.
3rd down and 6.
A lot of it, I think, goes with the run and shoot. We've talked about it so many times before. You don't have the benefit tied in.
For a touchdown by Andre Rison.
Boy, and Wade Wilson took the blitz right in the face and paid it and got the touchdown as a result, but he saw it coming from the left side and he took a big time hit.
Great move by Rison, too, against Larry Brown. Let's take a look at this Jeffcoat, I believe.
The blitz came to the inside. Woodson came and was picked up by Whitfield, the left tackle, and boy, that's very indicative of the type of night and reflective of the night had by Wade Wilson. He has thrown the ball really well.
Price you pay, though, when you blitz. You're going to get single coverage out there. Larry Brown linked up with Andre Rison. It was a no contest. Wilson paid the price, but Rison was there for him.
Norm Johnson for the point after. Well, numbers can be screwy sometimes. Wilson is 30 of 41 for 342 yards. Numbers like that get you to the Pro Bowl, but it doesn't get your team anywhere. They're down 41-17. They have 9 men up within a few yards of Norm Johnson at this point.
And the sure-handed types,
including guys like Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper are out there.
And Atlanta making the shift. They don't always go with the onside kick, but this looks like they definitely will. A couple of bounces and then take that last high bounce and go for it.
It's much easier to do on artificial turf.
Has to go 10 yards for Atlanta to make it pay off, and that went 10 yards. Coming up with it is Bruce Pickens, but what are they going to say?
I'm not sure it went 10 yards out.
He's standing right on the 45.
Was he in bounds? There's a flag down, among other things.
I think they're offside, Atlanta.
Larry Nimmer is telling us.
Number 29 of the kicking team, offside, 5 yards, re-kick.
Re-kick. Joe Fishback. And I will.
I don't want to be nitpickings.
It smells like a red herring to me.
Oh yeah. We're floundering. I know. I understand.
Now, if you were perched up here watching what we're looking at.
There's another flag.
Now that ball was touched by a Cowboy before it went 10 yards.
Yep, that was Darrell Johnston. And again, Pickens is involved in the play.
If a Cowboy comes up and touches the ball before it goes 10 yards, it's a free ball.
Exactly. They don't handle it. It should be a free ball.
I would think that would be Atlanta's ball. I think Darrell Johnston comes up. See, there's Johnston. No, he chooses to touch the ball before it goes 10. If Atlanta recovers the ball, that's got to be theirs.
Mm-hmm. You know, Fishback's involved in this play here. Yes, he was.
I knew he'd work his way in here somewhere.
You mean he's back?
Back on the hook.
That was kind of a half-hearted first down signal by Jimmy Johnson.
We have
There's a flag down here as well.
Ray Horton want to know what's going on here.
We have the kicking team offside again.
Oh,
That's
boy.
the second kickoff in a row, but the ball was legally touched by the receiving team, so we'll penalize the kicking team 5 yards and re-kick.
That would have been Atlanta's ball had they not been offside.
Exactly.
That's the...
But they committed.
They've got me to the point I don't care who gets it. Somebody get it.
Come on, guys. Kick off ready. Fisher cut bait here. Let's go. All right. Johnson
just can't be done.
He kicks it out of bounds.
Yeah,
This might be the worst series of kickoffs this league has seen in a long time, coupled with some of the worst announcing of all time.
Kickoff out of bounds. The ball will be put in play 30 yards from the free kick line. 1st and 10 for Dallas.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, boy, thank you. Ready for some football?
When's it going to start?
Yeah. I think they've just invoked the mercy rule here. Dallas has it at the 45. And we have 7:56 remaining, believe it or not. 41-17, Cowboys. Candlestick Park in San Francisco. 49ers on their way, of course, to home field advantage. They hope another Super Bowl title. Steve Young, tremendous year. If you missed it at halftime, George Seifert telling us Young's going to play, but he wants to get Montana in for 2 quarters, roughly 2 quarters. Next Monday, Sanders and the Lions against San Francisco, Monday Night Football. 1st and 10, Dallas at the 45-yard line. And Emmitt Smith picks up 5. That's 159 yards. You know, Dan, let's go back. We talked about the Deion Sanders play before, and we were looking for clarification in the rule book, and we're going to cue it up here. Here's the play again.
Sanders goes back, fields the ball, and voluntarily takes it into the end zone, and then takes a knee. And that is accurate, as we called it at the time. If you surrender yourself in the end zone, if you seek the protection of taking a knee, the play should have been over right there. That should have been a safety on the Atlanta Falcons. Deion sought the protection of the end zone by taking a knee. He stopped play and then came out. And Jimmy Johnson, who was very animated on the Dallas sideline, was certainly justified in doing so.
2nd and 5.
That would have been the 5th way that Deion Sanders has scored, right?
I didn't think about that. That's right.
Yeah,
punt return, kickoff return, interception, and a reception. He hasn't rushed for a touchdown yet. He hasn't run a fumble in for a TD yet, nor has he, I believe, had a safety.
Given up a safety. That's a deduction, guys. That has a minus sign in front of it.
Yep. Emmitt Smith tonight. Now, how does he stand as he seeks his 2nd consecutive rushing title up to this very second? Barry Foster has the lead, but Emmitt is right there on his tail. And then you've got Thomas and Sanders and the rest. 18 more yards to catch Barry Foster, and each has 1 full game to play.
And coming into tonight, it looked like Foster had a very comfortable lead.
3rd and 3. Here's Smith. But here's the thing, too. Next, it'll be an interesting thing.
Because why play Emmitt Smith next?
Well, yeah, the Dallas has the luxury of, playing their guys and just keeping them a little sharp, knowing they're going to have the week off. Pittsburgh, meanwhile, even though they've clinched the division, might be in a situation where they have to win that game against Cleveland to get that bye week. And it's a 1 o'clock game. They're not going to know what's happened. So it's an important game for Pittsburgh to win. Foster's going to see a lot of action.
And yeah, Barry was shaken up yesterday, too. He was taken off the field and taken in for x-rays.
And conversely, Dallas is playing Chicago, who's already out of the playoffs. The game affects no one at all, so they really have no pressure to even put up a good game.
Yep. And Dallas plays a late game, so they're going to actually know in Dallas how many yards Foster will wind up with. As Emmitt Smith works his way to the 35-yard line. He is stopped there by Jesse Solomon.
Well, I would have to say at this stage of the ball game, this is just a concerted effort by Jimmy Johnson to get Emmitt Smith the title. And I think he's going to go out of the game. Enough is enough. The franchise doesn't need to be in the ball game. beyond this stage in a 41-17 contest.
And most of those who've remained are Cowboy fans, unless he gets a big ovation.
I think you touched on it, Dan. I think they're well aware that he is within that area and certainly contending for another rushing championship. Depending on what Barry Foster, of course, does next week. He's only 5 yards off of Barry Foster now.
2nd and 1. And
that's not Herschel Walker. That's Tommy Agee.
Tommy Agee, and letting you know that Herschel's number didn't get retired. Emmitt Smith, his season high had been 163 against the Eagles. Tonight he goes 174, scores twice, both on 29-yard runs. And he and Foster head-to-head, and here it is up to date with 1 week to go. Foster leading Smith by 5.
What a great year Foster's had under Ron Earhart's offense. Steelers really roaring back this year.
1st and 10 Dallas at the 33 under 4 minutes to go. 41-17 Cowboys. And here's a look at Curvin Richards, the backup to Emmitt Smith, to the 31-yard line. So the Cowboys are going to set a franchise record, 12 wins. They'll be 12-3 with a potential to win 13. Onto the playoffs they go. Johnson in his 4th year, and he's taken his team just about to the top, and we'll all know in a month or so.
And unless we are dead wrong, and I don't think so, get used to this picture. The Dallas Cowboys give every indication of being a franchise that is going to be doing this to people for a long time to come.
This is the youngest team in the game. This a little over 26 years average.
Curvin Richards again on 2nd and long to the 29-yard line.
You don't want to hang the dynasty label on a team that hasn't done anything yet, and the Cowboys haven't done anything yet.
Yep.
But this team will win for a long time to come. I don't see anything that could bring this team down in the near future.
There are 2 D words that teams don't want to use. One is dynasty, and the other is totally at the other end of the spectrum, disarray.
And stereo.
That's right.
Well, you have to accomplish something before people should even toss the word dynasty around, and that's something you have to keep in mind with this ball club. They had playoff experience last year. They want to take it to that next level. They're aggressive, hard-working, talented, and well-coached.
3rd and 7.
Other than that, they don't have a lot going for them.
Yeah. And meanwhile, the Atlanta Falcons, they're going to have to regroup, an injury-racked season, but they're going to be a mystery when next season begins. Jerry Glanville and company on their way to going 6-9. 2-minute warning from the Georgia Dome.
You may not have given side impact collisions much consideration, but Buick has. You may not know that by the year 1997, all cars will be required to meet the U.S. government's side impact safety standard, or that the Buick Regal sedan meets this standard today, 4 years in advance. But it is important information, and we think it's definitely food for thought.
Party's getting off to a good start.
Hold on, I got a surprise.
Ooh, champagne.
You're close. Taste it.
The color's beautiful.
Oh, this is great. Was this new?
Yeah, it's Blanc de Noir. It's what?
Blanc de Noir.
Oh, that's easy for you to say.
I've never had a champagne like it.
That's the surprise.
Blanc de Noir, a wonderful new taste from Tots. Blanc de Noir. There's no champagne quite like it.
Cool, crisp, clean, Old Spice. It puts the wind in your sails.
Damn it, Don, we're getting in awful deep.
Trespass is compelling with fast-paced action.
You come any closer, he's a dead man!
It's all about survival.
It's all about gold.
Trespass, rated R, starts Friday at theaters everywhere.
We've got to play those old guys. And the women, this is going to be no contest.
Can you believe those guys?
Don't miss the Wendy's 3-Tour Challenge. Coverage begins Saturday.
on ABC.
At the 2-minute warning on 4th down and 5, Lynn Elliott comes out to attempt a 46-yard field goal. Burline to hold.
This is Jimmy Johnson not wanting to break the rhythm of what he would do in any ball game.
And that one hits the upright. So Elliott misses, and Atlanta takes over. And we have 1:53 remaining, and the Cowboys are that much time away from the NFC East title. .153 to go. Billy Joe Tolliver comes into the game. Wade Wilson is done for the night. And of course Atlanta has been done for the night for some time. They're down 41-17. And Tolliver throws, and that's the first catch of the night made by one James Milling up at the 32-yard line. He's tackled there by Mickey Pruitt. Jerry Jones, owner of the Cowboys, down there getting and receiving congratulations from Charles Haley and Thomas Everett.
He built it, and they have come. Victories.
The two JJs, Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson. Tolliver throws, and as we said at the top, it's been those two guys and no jablonis. There's been no personnel director or no general manager. These guys should get all of the blame or most of the credit. It's as simple as that. It's been Jones and Johnson. And right now they're getting all of the credit, and they deserve it.
Well, in '89, when they looked over their football team and said, we want to change it, they looked around and said, what kind of an asset did we have? They both agreed it was Herschel Walker. Nothing against Herschel. They just got a bundle for him, and they went from there. 43 trades later, 29 of them Plan B players coming in.
First and 10 at the 42-yard line.
Is it your insinuation, Al, that a lot of other teams have jablonis?
Well, I just feel like I feel like Groucho Marx. I mean, that was kind of like the word that comes down with the duck tonight, right?
The $200 word.
We just created one. At the 47-yard line, Tony Jones was the guy who made that last catch, and Tony Jones is shaken up. So Dallas wins the NFC East, and we can update the playoff picture to the moment and simplify it. San Francisco home field advantage throughout. That said, Dallas week off, then they host a game the second weekend of January at home. Minnesota plays in that first round the weekend after New Year's, and they will host a game. New Orleans and Philadelphia have a chance to host games. New Orleans, simply by beating the Jets, will do it. And that's a likely scenario. Philadelphia still with a chance. Green Bay and Washington each with a chance to get in. Washington has the better chance, though. If both win and Philadelphia loses, then Green Bay gets in. And Washington plays the Raiders on Saturday, and Green Bay plays on Sunday against Minnesota.
But of those bottom two, one is in, one is out.
One is in, one is out.
Same here.
Same here. You've got Buffalo, you've got Miami. Pittsburgh has clinched the division title. Nobody has been guaranteed a week off at this point. San Diego's in and Houston is in, so a lot still going on. And of course, Kansas City plays Denver this week at Arrowhead Stadium. Winner in, loser out.
Could you repeat the NFC again?
Well, the AFC is simple with that Kansas City-Denver game.
Tolliver taken down by Jim Jeffcoat.
He was spiked by Jim Jeffcoat.
And Tolliver, who already has a slightly separated shoulder, they used that as a reason why Wilson even got the start last week. Slow and arising. Michael Irvin.
Michael will have a word with you, but he is a football player.
Yeah.
He brings it every time.
Emmett.
He is the franchise.
Second and 20.
Whoa.
And that's a catch by Drew Hill.
What's that for a little quick penetration there? Who was that came flying up in there? Was that Jimmy Jones?
Leon Lett, I think, again.
You know, we have Jimmy Johnson, the coach. We have Jerry Jones, the owner, and we have Jimmy Jones, the player.
Yep.
This is a confusing configuration of talent.
You can call me Ray. You can call me Jay.
And we can call this the last play of the game.
Maybe. That's incomplete, and the clock has gone down to zeros all the way around.
What a job they've done in Dallas.
NFC East is theirs for the first time since '85. Johnson and Jones. Well, we go to San Francisco next week. Joe Montana in action. We'll talk to you then. Detroit against the Niners. Here it's 41-17 Cowboys. Till next week, Al Michaels, Frank Everett, Dan Deerdorf. Good night from Atlanta.